Hello and welcome to the Indila podcast. It's Joey.
And this is Rain.
We have another tiny little announcement, which is that uh, just yesterday, it seems, in the early hours of yesterday, Indila's Instagram bio was edited. It used to say, um,
Indila, Amir feat Indila Carrousel clip,
thank you.
something. And there was the link in the bio. But now it's just a link to the Carrousel clip and nothing else. So I think they're going to, maybe the record label or the management, they're just tidying up the space so they could reveal something else and something else big. Something big is coming. That
Exactly.
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking the same. In Mar late March 2021, um, she was the same thing was happening. Like she was following people on Instagram, then unfollowing them, then following them,
Mhm.
and that was like just 2 weeks before Carrousel was released. The music video Carrousel was released, and I think I've heard from Habiba that similar things have happened at other times. It seems always to be very late at night or in the early hours that little edits are made to her Instagram. And we have to guess it's not actually her, but it does surely mean that something is coming. Um, I should just also say a little correction. I also posted on my Instagram that her YouTube account had changed. The bio had changed on there. Actually, that was a false alarm. I'm sorry. It was not changed yesterday. It was changed in like December last year when the vinyl was released. But we have Indila News to thank for this information yet again. Today we are talking about the end of 2019 and up to the beginning of the pandemic. Last week we talked about the release of Palatetet music video. And 2 days after that, I think, Indila suddenly, it wasn't really announced, but Indila suddenly went to Poland to perform at The Voice of Poland, which is the same show that she performed in 2014.
Mhm.
Do you remember that
Yeah,
show in 2019?
I remember being so excited for it. I think at first she performed at the Voice, and then they interviewed her. And
Yeah.
I remember uh, her having back dancers for every concert that she had in that era. And I think it was so amazing because, we're not used to Indra having a moving song that she just like has like full choreography. It was so fun, and she was how she lets the audience sing the detail parts. I think it was so fun.
Wait, the what part?
Uh, Dis-moi, uh,
Oh.
something something detail. You know
Ah,
what I mean?
she lets them sing.
Chords.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Because this show was on the Polish telly, it was recorded professionally. So we'd already seen her singing Ballad on like fan recorded videos, on stage. But this was the first time that we really got to see like up close the dancers, what they're doing, what she's doing on the stage. So it was great. And yeah, the next morning, again, I think this was a surprise. She went on this Dobry dzień, Good Morning program in Poland, which she had also been on in 2014, and she sang the really beautiful part of Palatetet a cappella.
Mhm.
Um, our friend Utku has a video of that on YouTube, which people can see. Yeah, it was stunning. And then a week later, the 22nd of November, a Friday, Indila had another show in France. This was Orchy, which is very close to Lille in the northern bit of France. And I have a personal connection to it.
Do you mind me asking why you have a personal connection to it? Because some of you may not know that Joey actually met Indira in this time. And I think it would be perfect if you just could explain how that went like.
Yes. So Orshi was the show where I met Indila.
How did you buy the ticket? Because that
Well,
show, I think you had to like win the ticket, not buy.
that's right. This for the previous shows in September, I think you had to buy a ticket, but for this one, it was more complicated. You couldn't buy the ticket. You could only win the ticket by texting a phone number in France. So it was almost like a lottery. If many people will text the number, but not everyone will get a ticket. It was a bit random, but the more times you text, the more likely you are to get a ticket. And at this time, I was at university, so I had lectures to go to. But compared to like having a job, I was fairly able to travel. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to this show. But there was a problem because you could only text this phone number to win the ticket if you had a French phone number, and I didn't. So I asked my French dreamer friends to do it, and they very sweetly they tried for me, but they weren't able to do it. And I was desperate. I joined a Facebook group for the concert and I said, is anyone selling a ticket? And then the concert replied saying, this is not allowed. You're not allowed to sell tickets. Anyway, I did speak to somebody who said, I said, okay, all right, I'll buy the ticket. But I was very foolish and I was very desperate. So it was a scam. I paid this girl 50 euros and then she just blocked me straight away. So I didn't get the ticket from her. She didn't have the ticket, I think.
You didn't stop after that?
I didn't give up after that, no. I lost the 50 euros. But I then started talking to another guy who I think he had got like one ticket and he wanted two for his wife or something like that. And I remember I we had like a phone call and I was quite nervous because it I wasn't that used to speaking French, and it was like a really, a really important big thing. I was like, okay, I've got to present myself well. Um, but we basically agreed. I can't remember. I think I paid him. I can't remember how much for the ticket, but I was still very nervous because it had his name on the ticket, not not mine, of course. Uh, but then, but then. Indila News, the Twitter account who is breaking lots of news about Indila even to this day, even recently, she won the ticket for me. So she had entered the competition to try to win a ticket for me, and I didn't know that she was extremely kind, and she actually succeeded in doing it. So now I didn't need to worry. I had the ticket. So I was all set and I booked my hotel.
So you had everything ready for you, like your visa, your hotel, everything. It was all set after you bought the ticket.
Yeah, so once I won the ticket, I booked the hotel. I just looked for a hotel in Orchi, which is a big village or little town. A wonderful dreamer called Patrice, who is a really wonderful human being and an author. And anyway, he actually had a house in Lille, I think, and he offered me to stay in his house. He said, "You can come and stay the night in my house, and then you go to Orchi from there." And it was very sweet. I already booked the hotel and I wanted to be in Orchi because I didn't want to like have to take a train, on the morning of the show. I just wanted to be there as soon as possible. but he deserves a mention. Merci, Patrice.
How did the concert go like?
So the concert was just, it was amazing. I had a long wait for it because I arrived in Orchy on the Thursday evening, and the concert was the Friday evening. And I was also in contact with another French dreamer. I mean, she doesn't have like fan pages, but I think she's a dreamer. She was a fan of Indila. And she said, I'm going to come to the concert at like 3 p.m., arrive early. She goes to lots of concerts, and I think she likes to do that. So I thought, okay, I will do the same. And then the other thing, I was carrying with me a book or a folder containing messages from, I think, 91 fans. When I knew I was going, I asked lots of dreamers, um, if you send me a message for Indila, I will write it down and give it to her if I meet her. Um, so I had that with me in my bag, and I got to the show. I'm not sure what time, but it was in the afternoon. I came very early, and we had to wait in a queue, in a line outside for like 3 hours. And I was so excited, but it also went quite slowly, the time. And then they let us in. I was quite nervous because I wasn't speaking very good French, and it was also very like there was lots of security. I think like there were guys with guns, I mean, of course, because of the attacks in Paris in 2015, like
Mhm.
the security is very high in these things. And so the show was for lots of artists. Each one would just do one or two songs. And the people came out to introduce the first singer, and they said something like, our first singer has, got 400 million views on YouTube for one song. And I thought, okay, this is Indila. Indila's coming up first. This is perfect. Um, and then she came on and she performed Dernière Danse first, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then Par la tête. I uh, leapt off my seat and went immediately to the front. And it, it was just, I mean, it's the dream of every dreamer, right? Seeing her in person for that first moment. Um, I knew that I would have to really save, kind of save it in my head, make the most of that first moment because, of course, the first moment will never happen again. Um, and yeah, it was just incredible. Um,
So they just let you be go in with someone else's ticket, and you were in the first row. They just let you to watch it that close.
yeah, so with the tics, yeah, so that's one of the reasons I was very nervous was because it was all fine. I knew it was fine, but I, of course, was not really having the ticket didn't have my name on it, so I was just scared that there'd be some kind of problem. Um, but once the ticket was scanned and I was in, it was great relief. And the seating, the tickets did not tell you your seat, so anyone with a ticket could sit anywhere. So that's why I wanted to be one of the first to enter the show, so I would have a good chance at getting an early seat. So I just came and sat right by the front.
Did you meet her after the concert or before?
Yeah, so it's uh, an interesting story about how I got to meet her because, of course, um, you know, many people want to meet the artists and it's not easy. Um, I actually kind of I knew Indila's old manager at the time, uh, and he knew me because of like we'd kind of I, we'd we had helped each other with a few things in the past, or I'd helped him with like promotion and like in with stuff to do with the fan base. And when I knew I was going, I asked him if I could meet Indila, and he said yes, absolutely, of course. But at this time, I when I came to the show, I wasn't sure if I would meet her before or after. And I messaged him, and he did when thinking maybe it's before, but he didn't reply at first. I thought, oh no. Of course, you can imagine. I sent the message, and 1 minute later, I was back on my phone checking to see if he had seen it. And he hadn't. So 2 minutes later, I checked again. That was all I was thinking about. Um, so he didn't reply at first. So I thought, ah. And I thought, oh no, like it would be terrible if it doesn't happen for whatever reason. And then he did reply saying, after the show will be great. So I thought, okay, great, I'll meet her after the show. But I still thought, it's so much security. You know, they don't just let people walk backstage. So even though her manager was allowing it, I thought it's still quite difficult. But I was quite fortunate because where I was sitting at the front of the stage, um, I was also sitting on the edge, so there was a security guard right next to me. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna start a conversation with him just so that he kind of knows who I am, and like then if I ask him for help, he can help me. So I was just chatting to him about like what it's like being a security guard. I said I was here just for Indila's show. I'm a big fan. Da 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 da. And he was very nice. And then after Indila's performance, I messaged her manager, and I think he said, "Oh, he said come." Um, he said like, "Come opposite the stage, or come to right by the stage, and I'll come and meet you." And I wasn't sure exactly what it meant because it was like a specific instruction, and I wasn't sure if I was understanding correctly. I didn't know where he meant. So I showed the message to security guards, and I was like, help me. And they were like, I don't know. Anyway, then I showed it to my friend, security guard, and he said, oh, okay, uh, wait here. And he went and talked to some other security guards, and they kind of questioned me a bit. Um, And then they went off. And then they came back and said, okay, come with us. And they gave me a pass, like to take
Mhm.
around my neck. And they took me backstage. I was so excited. It was amazing. And I stood outside the door of Indila. There was a poster on the door, like a piece of paper, and it said Indila.
Mhm.
I was waiting outside.
It must be so exciting
It was
to see
amazing.
that sign.
I could hear them inside. Yeah, I could hear Pala Tête playing, like a little part of it playing on a loop. I was thinking, what are they doing? And I wonder, I don't know, but you know that TikTok video of her,
Oh,
well,
it was that concert?
possibly because she's wearing the same thing.
Okay.
Um, I wonder if they were doing that, but there was only one dancer, and in that she's got more than one dancer, so I don't know. But they were doing something, and I could hear talking, and I could hear Indila's voice. I was like, oh my God, this like, you know, more than 2 years I have been thinking about this, and now it's about to happen. And I was waiting for quite a while. I messaged her manager saying, okay, I'm behind your door. And I remember thinking, that sounds a bit creepy. Um, and then different security guards came up to me and said, what are you doing here? Where did you get this pass? And I was trying to explain, no, no, it's okay. I've been given the pass. I'm here to meet Indila. It's all arranged. And they didn't accept it. And they were about to take me away. They were kind of
Mhm.
coming to like grab me, like not in an aggressive way, but just like, come on, you can't be here. Just at that moment, the door opened. I think they heard that there was something happening outside. Indila's manager appeared and Skalpevich appeared. And they said, I remember it so clearly, they said, non, non, il est avec nous. no, he's with us. And the security guard went, oh, okay, and walked away. Um, and then I spoke a little bit with her manager, and uh, he said, thank you for all the work you do for Indila.
Aw.
He said it in English, and I was really quite touched. It was amazing. And we were speaking in English. I think he wanted to practice his English a little bit. And he said, just give us 5 minutes and we'll be out. So they went back behind the door. And then 5 minutes later, the door opened again and the manager walked out. Skalpovic walked out. Indila's like artistic manager came out. And I think she was, oh, and a dancer came out, one of the dancers. And then Indila came out. I thought, oh, like, wow. Um, and I felt this big nervousness, you know. I thought, okay, like I had also prepared for like in my flat in Bristol, I had kind of done like a dress rehearsal, like the things I would say and things like that, because I knew that I might be tongue-tied, like unable to speak. But I thought, no, no, I've got to speak. So I went up to her. I said, "Oh, s- something like Salut Intila, je suis un grand fan. Je m'appelle Joey." So, hello Intila, I'm a big fan. My name is Joey. And she was just so friendly and wonderful. And, she looked straight at me, of course, and it was amazing. And we did la bise, like the
Mm.
French greeting where you kiss. But what you're supposed to do when you do this is you're supposed to just touch cheeks and make a kissing sound. Like you're not actually supposed to kiss, but I didn't realize that. So I kissed her on the cheek and I felt awkward at the time. And I think she must have thought, well, I don't know what she thought. But only years later, I realized that you're not supposed to do that. So I thought, oh no, I hope that I didn't come across as a freak. Um, but she didn't say anything. So, and we hugged and I showed her pictures on my phone of Iceland, where I met her at Lusteri in 2014 when I saw her. And she said, "Oh, can you send these images to my manager?" So I said, "Okay." Um, and I gave her a bag, like the bag containing the messages of the dreamers. Uh, and we took photos. We took you know pictures together. It was amazing.
What else you spoke about?
So I told her that it was only possible to get the ticket because of a French dreamer who helped me. And she said, "Oh, would you like us to make a video for her?" I said, "Okay." I've never published these videos because it's special, but yeah, we made a little videos together. And then we also spoke about the music video Pas la tête because it was just 1 week old. And I said, I can see how it relates to the Nertans. And she said, yes, that's my idea. I want all my videos to be linked.
This is this November 10,
22nd, this,
27?
yeah. And the video was released November the 14th.
Mm.
And and I said her performance was so wonderful at the show, and she said, "Oh, was it? I wasn't sure because I couldn't really hear myself, so I wasn't sure if it didn't sound great." And I thought, "Oh, you're so sweet and modest." It was absolutely brilliant. And I spoke about how music has become very popular recently, including in India. and also, of course, like the Middle East, Europe,
Mhm.
and uh, and I said, especially in Turkey. I said there are many fans, especially in Turkey, and they said, oh yes, we know. Um, and
Did you
that,
get your mini album signed?
yeah, so we were about to leave at this point. I think I was with her maybe like 15 minutes, but I'm not sure. It was very generous with the time. And then I was about to leave, and then I remembered, oh, no, Miniwell. It was in my bag. So I said, oh, would you mind signing my album? And she said, yes, yes, of course. And again, she's just so sweet. She said, do you mind if I take the piece of paper, the booklet out from the album case? And I said, no, really, I don't mind, Indila. You can write on that. You know? Um,
It would be so funny if you said no.
no,
You
no.
can't take it. No, that's not for you.
I was amazed how, like, when she used to do the meet and greets where she would sign like 500 albums in a row, would she always ask people that? It's funny. Um, and then while she was doing that, I spoke to Skalkovic as well. We shook hands, and he had done an Instagram live very well. One of the dancers had done an Instagram live earlier in the day, and Skalkovic had appeared on it. I didn't see it,
Mhm.
but I said, apparently you did an Instagram live. The fans are very pleased. And he said, oh, yes, yes, I should do more of these or something. Because he said Nour Khalid's name on the Instagram live, apparently. And I also shook hands with one of the dancers. And uh, so then said goodbye again. I had already said goodbye before asking about my album. I said, tomorrow I'm going to Paris. And they said, all right, you're going to Paris and then back to, um, back on the Eurostar. And I said, yeah, but I didn't quite explain. And I don't think they quite realized I was going to Paris to go to Dernière Danse. Um, as soon as I left uh, the concert. I left Indila and I left the concert. I got out on the street and I literally like jumped into the air and did like this, like a footballer who scores a goal. I put my arms in the air. And then I was so like energized. I was almost like running through the town. It was night and I didn't know my way around the town. I got completely lost. It's a very small place. But yeah, I didn't go straight to the hotel because I got a bit lost and I didn't care. I was so happy. And then the next day I traveled to Paris. I had about maybe 4 hours there because I had to get the Eurostar home. But I knew I wanted to visit the places where Dernière Danse was filmed. So from the station in Paris, I walked very quickly towards the Arc de Triomphe, and then I went into Rue Pergolèse or Pergolèse, yeah, and Rue Lalo. So on the corner of these two roads, you have the cafe where Indila shelters from the storm in Dernière Danse. And then you walk up the road, and there it is, the door, number 14, Rue Lalo, where she gets kicked out. And I know Emma has been there, Julia Skowetska has been there, and very recently, just last month, Kate from Ireland went there. Um, and yeah, it's amazing being there in person because you can actually turn around, you get a 360-degree view of what it's really like, there. You see the things that you don't see in the clip. And then from there, I went to the Bois de Boulogne, which is a big park in Paris. And I went to where the balcony scene is filmed in Dernière Danse, where you've got the huge view of Paris. We mentioned this in a previous episode. You're only really looking over the lake. It's a very pretty view, but you're not very high up. I think The video is edited. I went to the stone where she wakes up
Hmm.
and the riverbank that she's walking up and the steps. It's all right there. And I had my lunch there. Um, oh, and I also walked past Sacré-Cœur, so where Ballade de Tête was filmed just about a month earlier. It was weird, like thinking, Dernière Danses was filmed 6 years ago, but Indila was here just 1 month ago. And I saw the telescope that she looks through. I don't think I think you have to pay to use those things, so I didn't really look through it. But yeah. And then I returned home, and it's a little bit difficult to compare moments of our lives, isn't it? Um, I would say it was. I certainly used to think like that was definitely the happiest I've ever been was those 2 days. And it probably was because of the like realization of the dream, I had waited 2 years. Um, but of course, you know, the way life works, you do return to normal, you don't remain happy forever, and you also have other experiences in your life that are really great and happy too. But it was definitely one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
When you were back home, like after how many days did you recover? I mean, not recover, but came back to normal. And
I'm not sure actually. So I remember telling Gurkem in like February or January 2020 that I had not been angry or sad since meeting Indira. And he said, "That's not possible. Shut up." And I think he was absolutely right. Of course, it's not possible. But I was just, I was ha like it lasted certainly a few days, like that glow. And the other thing, this was still kind of right in the middle. It certainly seemed at the time, that the album was coming soon. We were right in the middle of news. So I thought, and we didn't know about COVID. This was still before that. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to meet her again soon. Then, a couple of weeks later, we had new interviews came out with her. Um, these videos are very famous to dreamers. They're on YouTube. They're quite funny.
the
Um,
studio ones, where she has like a colored background.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, there's quite a few of them. There's like the pink background, the
And their blue background.
and the yellow as well.
Yeah.
It's very confusing because they often came out like in different parts or whatever. But people
Yeah.
know these videos.
Each had like three different parts,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. And they actually also Indila recorded a video before her concert in Orchi. Um, an interview with the organizers of the show, but unfortunately it was never released. And then like also in December a short like Parle à Tête music video short version came out, and that was a big surprise. And then on the 20th of December 2019, she had her last show. It turned out to be her last show of that era, in Albi in southern France. And this is the one where she's wearing, how would you describe?
I think it was a hard, like it was not loose. It was more of a hard clothing, like less
Okay.
wrinkly and more. What's the word? I don't know the word for that.
Like a
I
bit
think,
thicker, warmer?
yeah, it was thicker, and I think it was purple and white. It was like pastel colors.
Yeah, I think it was like a clear light blue, but
Mhm.
it may have been purple, and of course the lights. Uh, and she had a cold, but she still came. Very.
I think she had bronchitis, but she was saying something like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my throat hurts. I had bronchitis." She
Yeah,
was saying in French. That's why it just came to my mind.
yeah, she's very resilient, as we know. And and she sang like a slightly different version of Ballad Dead, or she kind of sang at the big, like before really launching into the song. She sang like faudrait peut-être que je parle à ma tête.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and after that show, she took pictures with fans. And that was really the last images, I think, which we had of her for a long time. Then it comes to the new year, and again, suddenly, these things are usually not announced in advance very much. It was announced that Indila was doing a radio interview in early January. Um, okay, that sounds normal, but it's not a French radio interview. It's a radio interview in Qatar, um, which seems quite random. I don't know why, but
I think she was bored and she just agreed to do it.
maybe. I've heard it has something to do with the issues which later came with the record label, but I don't know. I don't know. Um, it's been a long time since I listened to it. I can't remember much about what she said on that, to be honest, but I think she said that the album is due out around March or in the spring. Um, and very fortunately for all dreamers, Jeren recorded it for us and
Mhm.
it's on YouTube.
I don't remember much about it too. I
Yeah,
actually don't remember her saying it will be out that spring.
I think she did, or that was said somewhere else. Um, of course, sadly, the whole world knows what happened next. We had the coronavirus, um, sort of creeping more and more into our consciousnesses in January. And, it spread from China to Iran to Europe, America, everywhere. By February, certainly by March, everything was locked down and all concerts were shut down. We heard nothing more from India for several months. Now we have an interview with Nour Sayed-Taha, who is an enormous fan of Indila for many, many years. I hope you enjoy. Thank you, Noor, for joining the podcast. Question one, how did you discover Indila?
Hi, Joey. Thanks for inviting me to the podcast. It really means a lot for me. I discovered her by chance. I was listening to the radio in 2014. It was really a long time ago, but I still remember how I heard her voice for the first time and how I discovered her songs. Her voice was magical and wonderful. I felt like I was in another world, really, like in heaven. You may think I am exaggerating in expression, but that is really what I felt. It was happiness and that it was amazement.
I think you started being active in social media like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram in 2016. Can you remember how you did that? Like, what was the fan base like at the time? It was quite small, I think.
Yes, that's true. I was new to social media at that time, and Indila was my main and first passion. I used to search about her, and anything related to her was interested to me. She was really my very special artist, so yes.
How did you feel when Indila finally returned with Ballad.
Her comeback was on my dream list, actually. Her comeback as an artist was very important in the artistic community. Let's not forget that she is one of the best singers in France, and we can say that her comeback was an eye-catching with this distinctive single.
I think you, maybe more than almost anyone else, were so good at finding like old like pictures or posts about her. Like whenever I would see a post about Indila on Instagram or Facebook, it you already liked it. How did you find so much? Were you searching every day?
As I already mentioned, it was my passion and interest. I learned French just for her, and in order to understand her and talk to her when I meet her. So, when I meet her, I will tell her about everything and how much I did really love her, and that and that one who loves passionately and sincerely does everything, right?
What did you think about Carrousel, the song and music video?
To be honest, Carousel as a song or as a video clip is a unique song. It really amazed me with that story, direction, performance. You feel like it is a scene from a fantasy movie. She looked like a Disney princess. It was really brilliant. I will never forget that video clip. It was charming. It was amazing.
If you had the chance to meet Indila, what would you say?
For her comeback, I really don't know what to say. I wish I could meet her and tell her that she was and still the special and unique artist. I really hope she comes back to us again and continues her artistic giving. I am sure that she has a lot of art to create and give. I really missed her a lot. I wish she returns soon. Let's hope that.
Nour, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been great to have you.
Thank you for having me on this podcast. It brings me back together with the dreamers. This means a lot for me. Thanks.
For the next episode, we will be talking about after the quarantine, where she released Carousel with Amir and Roi de Coeur with Zaho. And we will just reflect on everything that happened in that era.
Yes, next week is actually going to be our last episode, at least for now. And if there's more news, we might return. But
Mhm.
uh, over the last 12, 13 weeks, we've described Indila's career from the beginnings, and now we're up to the COVID era and just two songs to go. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best.
Thank you, and see you next week.
See you next week.